Boom! Greetings, heroes, fellow anti-heroes, and villains alike. Today, another movie review on the channel, just because I like doing them. They're fun to talk about, and it's my channel, so I do what I want! But there is genuine value in talking about the writing component of certain movies. Some movies are great to analyze from a writing perspective. They have good characters, good plot structure, and there's compelling components to them. In the case of the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe, this is a case study in how to build an expansive, immersive universe and connect multiple stories within that universe, and how you can sequentially expand your universe. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is a great case study in world building. And so, if you're a writer, I think there's genuine value in studying the MCU, and of course you can't study a subject without studying its component pieces. So today we're going to look at Spider-Man No Way Home, and we're going to talk about some ways that they dropped in Easter eggs. And by the way, if you're a writer, that's a good thing to do. And we're going to talk about some of the ways they've expanded their universe and how these are lessons that you can just copy-paste to your writing, essentially. So let's get into it. The MCU started slow, establishing core characters, and then over time it expanded through the use of Easter eggs, after credit scenes, etc., to tie films to each other, to build the universe's connection to itself over time. You can obviously do that as a writer over the course of many books. Authors like Stephen King have already done that, H.P. Lovecraft before him. And there's other authors who have done the exact same thing. Over many books, they've established through Easter eggs and, direct references that all of these books exist within the same canon universe. The MCU is simply the on-screen version of what many writers have already been doing. And again, it's a great place to go to study how to do it in a very fun and effective but easy way. Because it doesn't take much, and we see that in the MCU. They drop a prop here, throw in a short scene here, or even just a line of dialogue there. Boom, connection formed. So, in Spider-Man No Way Home, we see that. And we see it done through Easter eggs, through the direct plot of the movie, obviously, because it's the whole direct plot of the movie to interconnect different universes. And we also see some missteps in that endeavor, because there's at least one plot hole that I can tell you about, and it's just a plain plot hole. There's no way around it for the writers. Sorry guys, you missed this one, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But if you're here on my channel because you like my writing advice, or at least you like hearing what I have to say about writing, then I really seriously do believe there's value in studying the MCU and other types of movies, whether they be standalone or whatever, because you can learn things about writing by studying the product of writing, the visual adaptations. Okay, so the plot hole that I noticed was actually caused by a line of dialogue. In the movie, Doc Ock, it's actually in the trailer for the movie, when Doc Ock first appears, he addresses Spider-Man as "Hello, Peter Parker." But later in the movie, or he addresses him as "Hello, Peter," just for the sake of being specific and accurate. And later in the movie, he says that he was brought to the universe that he's currently in the movie, before he knew when Peter Parker was in the first movie. In the movie where Doc Ock appeared, this incarnation of Doc Ock, he says he was pulled from his universe while he was crushing Spider-Man's head between his tentacles. And in that moment, he still didn't know that Spider-Man was Peter Parker, Because if you remember from the first movie, Peter pulled off his mask, and that's when Doc Ock realized, oh, you're Peter. I can't believe this. This is crazy. And so that's an instant and obvious plot hole, and all the writing team had to do to make sure that stuff like that didn't happen was to simply watch the source footage, watch all of the other Spider-Man movies that are being referenced and included in the plot of this movie, and stuff like that would have been fixed in a second sweep of the screenplay. So that's a plot hole. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So, but it is a little one. It's a plot hole that doesn't really have any hard effect on the overall story. It's just one of those little sloppy mistake kind of plot holes. So it is what it is on that one. Now, to get into talking about how they've used Easter eggs and subtle imagery and subtle dialogue to expand the universe. So in this movie, villains got classic costumes that reach all the way back to the comic books. And we also see a villain assume a costume of another villain. We see one of Spider-Man's alternate suits referenced. And there's also, in the final scenes where the sky is splitting apart and all this stuff happening, we see silhouettes of other characters that are showing up like in the shattering sky. And it's very subtle imagery like that you can use to expand your universe. It doesn't have to be super obvious. In fact, sometimes subtlety is the best possible thing you could do. And imagery that's, it's just put in front of the audience and not harped on. It's just there to see. That is the definition of subtle world building. It's not emphasized, it's not talked about, it's just in front of the audience and they can notice it if they want to. And of course, the observing and thinking audience does notice these things and does think about what they mean for the story. And of course, those are the readers you want. You want readers that read your story and think about what they've read, and because the more people think about something, the more they form an attachment to it. So you always want to write in such a way that you're writing to a thinking audience. Okay? Brain dead content might sell copy once or twice, but the readers that read brain dead content, they're not high quality readers. These are not people that write good reviews. These are not people that have loyalty to you because you're a good writer. Generally, low intellectual content readers, they only read you because you're the exact type of pulp content that they want, and if you deviate from that at all, they're going to stop reading you. That's Chuck Tingle's market, just as an example. Chuck Tingle could never publish anything serious under that name, and of course I doubt he would even try, but you get my point. Now, in terms of just the movie itself, because I do want to just give a very brief review of the movie just as a movie itself, as always, in typical Marvel fashion, visual effects were all great. Special effects, production quality, all of that stuff is great. It's typical Marvel quality. No disappointment there. The acting was very good. I especially liked seeing the dynamic between all of the villains and all of the versions of Spider-Man. That's a little bit of a spoiler alert, but, it's in the thumbnail, so whatever. But I'm really glad that the director gave us time to see those dynamics. And I wish we could have gotten more of it. I understand we only get so much runtime, but man, I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad we got as much of it as we did. And my only bitch is we didn't get more. I really liked seeing the dynamics between the three Spider-Men and the group of villains, and I thought it was all really interesting seeing that. With that being said, there were some places the director made a little bit of a mistake with how he was directing some of the villains. He had the actor that plays Doc Ock lean a little bit too heavy into his mental illness. Or maybe that was the actor being a little bit rusty from playing the character. I'm not sure. but I feel like that was leaned into a little bit heavy early on, especially in the very initial scenes. There was a choice to have Sandman appear in his like sandy form for the entire movie until he's, again, spoiler, cured of his affliction at the end of the movie. And I thought that was a mistake because we even see in the movie he's from that he can go back to looking like a human. And of course, for the purpose of moving around easily, that would be preferable. So there's no reason he should have been Sandy the whole movie until he was cured. And of course, that would have saved them on the CGI budget. So I don't know why they kept him Sandy the whole time. That didn't really make sense to me. One thing I do love, I really do love about what they've done here is they've canonized all of the versions of Spider-Man that have existed before the MCU worked with Sony and got rights. So now Andrew and Tobey are both canon, and any other incarnation of Spider-Man is now canon within the multiverse that they've set up. I absolutely love that because it's uniting for fans, and it's a great way of fixing continuity errors, and it's like a magic wand. They've waved away plot holes and continuity errors like that, and it's a master stroke of Deus Ex Machina writing, because that's exactly what it is. But it's so well done you can't even care about it, because it is truly works perfectly within the rules of the world that have been set up. And so it's Deus Ex Machina for plot hole fixes, but you can't be mad, and that's good writing. And of course, some last final notes. In typical Spider-Man fashion, there was witty dialogue, there was good banter, awkward nerds being awkward nerds, and it was very believable, and the consistency across the three incarnations of the Spider-Man in that character where they were able to display it was just very nice, and it felt good, again, as a fan, to see that the studio is taking the character's identity seriously, and I like that, because Spider-Man has always been my favorite hero ever since I was a little kid, and his snarky personality and the just the concept that he's like, yeah, I'm gonna beat your ass and mock you while I do it. I've always loved that about him. So yeah. So overall, highly recommend. I'm a Spider-Man junkie. If you like Doctor Strange, he's also good in this, and they set up Doctor Strange's next movie in the after credit scenes, and with the very plot of this movie as well, which is another beautiful thing to study about this cinematic universe, is the way, especially in this movie, the way they set up the next movie, or at least Doctor Strange's next movie, with the plot of Spider-Man. It's so seamless. And I don't want to do a big in-depth analysis, because frankly, you should go watch the Doctor Strange movie and then watch this movie and see how they set it up and tied it in and pushed you right into the story that's coming up in the next movie. It's very well done. And I think if you go watch the movies, you'll see it for yourself. So again, I'm not going to do a play-by-play. If you're interested in a play-by-play or my thoughts on the process of how they did it, and how and you want a deep dive on how you could do that in writing, let me know in the comments, and we'll do a deep dive on that, because that would be a good video to make. But until then, folks, or until the next video, thanks for sticking around. Thanks for coming to my channel. You know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube things, ring the damn bell. And by the way, it's Christmas time. If you're a fantasy lover, or if you have a fantasy lover in your family, go check out my book, The Garden of Lies. It gets great reviews on Goodreads for a damn good reason, because it's a damn good book. You should also check out my friend Caitlin, her channel, and her books, The Manner of Wickedness and Gehenna. I've heard good things about both of those books, and I will be reviewing them on the channel at some point. Until next time, guys, be well. My spider sense is telling me that this is a really fucking good book. Hey, do you need some sweet merch? Maybe a fit for the Patriot, Smart Person, or just anyone who isn't a raging Marxist commie soy boy in your life? Well then, my friend, you should probably, definitely, absolutely check out the If You're Feeling Adventurous Teespring store, where we have shirts, hoodies, leggings, mugs, water bottles, everything you need to tell the cancel mobs to fuck off, as you should. With designs like Christmas canceled, Freedom canceled, and COVID canceled, you can tell the SJW in your life to fuck off. And don't forget that here at Team Adventurous, first and foremost, we're purveyors of good-ass fiction. Check out The Manor of Wickedness, the story of a young girl who comes to find out that her inheritance is much more than an old creepy mansion in a very strange town. Or check out Gehenna, Ode to Persephone, the story of a love that might just go tragically wrong. And of course, you can check out my Garden Saga, The Garden of Lies and the Garden of Hope, the story of a young warrior who's willing to rip apart an empire to save the woman he loves.